So, I am Christopher Hicks at 444 Woodwick Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. Item 17 on your agenda is labeled as execution of a settlement agreement with Christopher Hicks regarding a federal First Amendment case. 2 years ago, on July 26, 2017, I was the only citizen in the room when ex-Commissioner David Ubel asked if anyone wanted to speak at public participation. I raised my hand and was told, quote, "We decided you cannot say what you're going to say," end quote. When I asked you, Mr. Painter, and you, Mr. Humphrey, if you agreed with Mr. Ubel, he ordered me removed from the room and you sat on your hands. My wife likes to say apologies are free, but rather than apologize, we watched events play out driven by ego and hubris. The next day, on July 27th, an unapologetic Ubel emailed CVB leaders with a request to get himself appointed to the board while concealing his involvement in his own appointment. Mr. Ubel, then Republican Party leader, called, then canceled, a special meeting of the Republican Party Executive Committee to seek my removal from the party. Mr. Ubel obtained from a friendly magistrate a temporary civil protection order against me to keep me out of government and Republican Party meetings. Mr. Ubel went to the press labeling me as a textbook psychotic. And before Mr. Ubel dropped the civil protection order, he gave a speech at a Republican Party meeting announcing he realized that I have First Amendment rights, but reminding me that he had Second Amendment rights. Along the way to today, you ignored repeated settlement offers, insisting you were in the right while offering up in depositions that you could not interpret your own rules for public participation. I have 2 suits against the county. This one and an open meetings violation case. In your April 9th, 2018 meeting, Mr. Painter moved to publicly reject a settlement offer I had made to settle both cases for under $67,000 with no admission of responsibility on the part of the county. What you are considering today is item 17 on your agenda. Cost taxpayers $146,500 for one case and has this admission, quote, "The board admits that while he was not being disruptive, Hicks' First Amendment right to freedom of speech was violated when he was not given permission to speak during public participation and was removed from the board session meeting on July 26, 2017, end quote." I think that dollar amount, the dollar amount that you are considering taking responsibility, should have been transparently included on your agenda as part of item 17. Commissioners, the fact we are here, having taken 2 years for you to consider admitting a basic constitutional wrong, is disheartening. The Constitution cannot be clearer when it assures the right of the people to petition the government for a redress of grievances. You took that right from me. I am concerned that the lessons are not sinking in. In the last year alone, we have seen so much exposed, such as the illegal hiring of Amy Jo DeClaire, the patronage hiring of Commissioner Political Aides, that for 15 years, employees of the engineer feared reprisal if they spoke up, inaction when we had no statutory auditor for 10 days, and you giving Mr. Ubel 2 hearings on a plot to get $1.8 million in public funds to make his ranch a private preserve for his use. You are even currently hiring an aide to the clerk. She earns more than you, Mr. Painter, is a clerk, but can't effectively use a computer, so needs a personal aide to do so. It is nuts, but you are paralyzed to act since she is connected with the political party. Whatever happens today, I will be as vigilant as ever. But no one yearns more for true positive change in this county than me. Clean, honest, open, and transparent government is the right thing to do. It is best for the people. If you won't do it out of ethics or out of character, please do it to just shut me up. If you live or work in Claremont County, do not be afraid to speak up and to report wrongdoing. You can contact me if you need help. It's time for real change and better government in our county. Thank you. One last thing. Ms. Corcoran, In your campaign, you called for a transparent CVB. You have done absolutely nothing to make that happen. I would like to at some point know why. Thank you all for the chance to participate in this meeting at public participation time. You know how important I consider it to be, Commissioner Painter.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. I will close the public participation portion of the meeting, and I would request that we take a 10-minute recess.
I'll second.
I think you have the privilege of doing that as a chair.
Yes.
If you want to make a motion, I'll second it.
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. We stand in recess. Item number 17. Board, I'm asking that item number 17 be tabled at this meeting to a point to be determined as a result of a violation of a confidentiality agreement this morning here in this boardroom, where the actual details of the settlement have already been made public. Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Tom, do we have some add-ons? Then I would move to item number H, executive session. I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to section 121.22, G1, G3, G4, and G6 of the Ohio Revised Code to first consider the employment and compensation of one or more public employees. Second, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation. 3, to prepare for or conduct or review negotiations for bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. And fourth, discuss details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or a public office, respectively. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes, we are proceeding into executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you. We are back from recess, and I'd like to call this meeting from recess back into open session. Board, previously, item number 17 was tabled, and I would like to make a motion to bring item 17 off the table and back into general session.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Painter?
Yes?
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Item number 17. Board of Claremont County execution of a settlement agreement with Christopher Hicks as it relates to United States District Court number 117 CV00677. It's a recommendation of G. Ernie Ramos Jr., Chief Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize David Painter, the President of the Board, to execute the settlement agreement for the provisions of full settlement and release of all claims associated with the matter of Christopher Hicks versus Claremont County Board of Commissioners, United States District Court, Southern District of Ohio, Western Division case number 117 CV00677, the terms of which are set forth in detail in a settlement agreement. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make
moved.
that motion. Sorry.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further conversation or discussion?
No.
None? Board, just to bring you up to date real quick, this agreement will provide an admission that while not being disruptive, Mr. Hicks' First Amendment right to freedom of speech was violated when he wasn't given permission to speak on July 26. We're agreeing that this board will be enjoined from removing persons from a board session on the grounds that a person made an utterance, a gesture, or display which outrages the sensibility of the board. The board further agrees to be enjoined from authorizing the board president to determine a speaker's remarks outrage the sensibilities of the board at a board session meeting. And the board agrees to pay $145,000 as and for compensation to Mr. Hicks and for Mr. Hicks' attorneys incurred in relation to all legal representation in this federal action. The board will pay settlement in one check made payable jointly to God Be Law, LLC, and Christopher Hicks for $145,000. Any further conversation or discussion?
None.
Roll call, Judy?
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Do we have any other business to come before the board?
Do you have an add-on related to that settlement agreement, sir?
Yes, I do. Go ahead, Suki.
You've got
Well, first of all, we've got to add it on to the board. Could you give me a
It's
summarization?
a supplemental appropriation.
Okay. We have a supplemental appropriation that goes with this settlement agreement.
Exactly.
Do I have a motion to add it to the agenda?
So moved.
It's
I'll
been
second.
moved and second. Further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Suki, floor is yours.
We have one supplemental appropriation as a result of the execution of the settlement. This will increase the insurance health judgment code, other expenses for $146,500.
Okay. You've heard the reading of the add-on. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Board members, I'd like to make a comment. We've settled a lawsuit today with Christopher Hicks, and I would just like to read an immediate release for public release. Batavia, Ohio, the Claremont County Commissioners have agreed to a settlement in the case filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Ohio. Captioned Christopher Hicks versus Claremont County Board of Commissioners. The Ohio case number is 117 CV 00677. It's a federal action. Mr. Christopher Hicks sued the county and others claiming that we did 7 things wrong. 5 of the claims were dismissed, 3 by the judge and 2 by Mr. Hicks himself. Mr. Hicks was requesting money to pay his attorney fees and money for himself. The 2 remaining claims related to July 26, 2017 Commissioners meeting and the rules of procedure for Commissioner sessions. Prior to July 26, 2017 Commissioners meeting, Mr. Hicks had spoken on 2 other Commissioner meetings. The morning of July 26, 2017, before the Commissioners meeting, Mr. Hicks sent an email to the Commissioners advising that he wanted to speak about what he wanted to speak at the meeting. At the Commissioners meeting, the board president, David Ubel, under the belief that Mr. Hicks wanted to speak about things that he'd spoken about previously and things that were not germane to Claremont County business, did not permit Mr. Hicks to speak. When Mr. Hicks was asked to be seated, he refused and was removed from the meeting. The claim related to Commissioners' rules of procedure for session was specific to the language in the rules that contained the language used in Ohio law relating to disturbing a lawful meeting. The settlement agreement authorized by this Board of Claremont County Commissioners today states that the Claremont County Board of Commissioners admit, while not being disruptive, Mr. Hicks' First Amendment right to freedom of speech was violated when he was not given permission to speak during public participation and was removed from the board session on July 26, 2017. Board of Commissioners will be enjoined from removing persons from a board session meeting on the grounds that a person made an utterance, gesture, or a display that outrages the sensibilities of the board, and from authorizing the board president to determine whether a speaker's remarks outrage the sensibilities of the board at a session meeting. Those restrictions, as previously mentioned, are of no consequence in that relevant language has been previously removed from the board's rules of conduct and participation. In addition, his attorneys and Mr. Hicks will receive $145,000 in attorney fees and compensatory damages, and $1,500 for court costs and Mr. Hicks's expenses in this federal action. I just wanted to say that it's very unfortunate in today's world that we can't talk out our differences, Lawsuits have become the medium whereby discussions are held, and great wealth is obtained from the pockets of the taxpayers. The county has been advised that Judge Timothy S. Black, United States District Court of Southern District of Ohio, will file a contingency dismissal of the lawsuit as a result of the settlement. Board, is there anything else to come before this meeting?
Nothing else.
Then I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Painter.
Yes. We stand in adjournment.